Hi, I'm Dara, and this is Our Right Way. And we're going to dive into the all important question: what should you actually write? So it's almost a loaded question, right? Because it's so many different ways to answer that. But I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what is a story that you're so passionate about that you would devote your free time to? Maybe give up a couple of weekends, a couple of hanging out with the friends and gatherings, or wake up super early in the morning to get a jump start on it, or even work on it late at night if that's the only piece of the day that you have to yourself to work on your craft. You need to ask yourself that all important question: what is that story? And for me personally, those are the stories that wake me up in the middle of the night. I'm thinking of a character idea. I'm thinking of a plot twist. I'm brushing my teeth and I'm imagining a piece of dialogue and all of that. The sparks that are inside of you that propel you, that's what's going to get you to the finish line. One of the things that trips up writers, especially in the beginning, is you start off hot with this idea and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to write this script. This is going to be the one. And you get a few pages in, and all of a sudden you lose steam. What happened? And I know so many writers who have half finished scripts or, 10 pages here, 3 pages there, a little piece of an outline, etc., but could never actually finish the entire script. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? And maybe it's because, life happens, busy schedules, caring for family, working, one job, two jobs, whatever it takes to, keep everything going. But underneath it all, there may be a more unsettling thought or reason, and that is because maybe that's not the story that you were truly passionate about. Maybe you were writing that because you thought it was kind of sorta a good idea, or you were writing it because you saw another movie and you wanted to kind of mimic what you saw there, but put a little bit of a different twist on it because that's what's going to get you noticed in Hollywood, right? And this is going to be the one with prequels and sequels, and it's going to have the tentpole, blockbuster, popcorn movie, fanfare, and all of that. And this isn't to take away from the creatives that deliver on those kinds of films. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what is a story that only you can tell? And what is a story that's going to inspire you to devote those weekends, wake up super early, do whatever it takes to actually carve out time to finish this script? Now, for many people, especially starting out, there's a bit of imposter syndrome, or you start writing a little bit, you get 2 pages in, and all of a sudden you find yourself going back to edit and revise things over and over again instead of progressing further along because that self-doubt comes in. What if this script isn't any good? What if I'm not any good at this? What if nobody likes my script? What if nobody even reads my script? And obviously, the disappointment that comes when you feel like maybe this will never get made. All of those kinds of thoughts can stifle you, especially early in the process. So that's why I find it to be very important to focus on the journey instead of the outcome. And to me, I liken it to fitness. Many people that start a fitness journey, they're focused on a specific result. I got a high school reunion coming up, or I'm planning a beach vacation next summer and I want to look great in my bathing suit. And those kinds of milestones are in their mind as they begin their fitness journey. And then there are a few people that begin their fitness journey because they just want to have more energy. They want to be able to sleep better at night. They want to feel better about themselves in general. So it's not obsessed about a specific outcome, but they go on that walk every day because they find that it gives them a little bit more energy that they didn't have before. And before they know it, it goes hand in hand. Maybe they are getting in better shape. Maybe they're looking great in their bathing suit. All of the other outcome pieces can come along, but they were focused on the journey instead of the destination. So especially when it comes to writing a spec script, and that's what we call them. A spec script means nobody hired you to write it. Nobody promised you a certain amount of money or going to pay you X amount of dollars just because you finished writing it. It's not like being hired to write a script. You're writing this completely on your own. So you're going to have to devote your own free time. You're going to have to put in a lot of sweat equity to actually complete this particular project all on your own. Or maybe you have a writing partner, but we can delve into writing partners later. Let's say for all intents and purposes, it's just you on your own. And it's just you with your pen and paper, or you at the computer, you at your screen, and you're looking at that blinking cursor and wondering, okay, how do I tackle this? Like the old saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you do have to break it up into smaller goals. Maybe you set, okay, I'm going to start off with a goal of 5 pages a week, which you can carve out some time. Okay, on the weekends, I might be able to do 2 pages, and I'll devote a little bit of time on Wednesday evening to get that extra page in. So I'm going to continue to make my page count. I believe in setting those kinds of goals for yourself. But aside from breaking things down into specific goals, the thing that's going to propel you is really your passion for the story. And that's why I feel like it's imperative to choose very wisely. What are the stories or things that really stayed with you in your life? What are some of your experiences that you could feel comfortable putting on the page? Or better yet, maybe some stories and experiences that you're uncomfortable putting on the page. Now, just stay with me for a minute. I find, I know this may sound wild, but sometimes the stories that we're most afraid to write are the ones that need to be told the most, right? Maybe there's something that's very uncomfortable or something in your personal life that not a lot of people know about. But you might be surprised that when you start exploring that particular subject matter, you have the spark to keep going, and it's therapeutic. Writing can be a form of therapy. Now, I'm not licensed for anything, so, take all of that as you will. But that being said, it does make me feel so much better when I write about something that's deeply personal, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Somehow getting those voices and stories out into the world, I do sleep a little bit better at night. Maybe you will too. And I could definitely show you some scripts that are the standard, what I call cookie cutter fare, which fit into some of those categories that I talked about, scripts that I wrote in the hopes that I'm going to write this script and it perfectly fits into this genre and it perfectly touches on all of these points with all of these different character beats and plot lines, and this is going to be the one that's the perfect commercial success. And what I found out is that those scripts that I wrote, they really didn't gain that much traction. The scripts that were deeply personal, even a little bit uncomfortable, the ones that people read and kind of looked at me like, oh, what inspired you to write this? And I was afraid to reply. Those have been the scripts that have um, opened a lot of doors for me and allowed me to be vulnerable comfortable with my craft. So you have to ask yourself, are you okay with going there? And this doesn't mean that it has to be some dramatic coming of age, you know, script or anything like that. It could even be, you know, a family movie, but it could touch on topics that are layered, that are relatable, and that shine through to everybody that sees it. If it's for a specific age group or a specific demographic, as long as those stories are real and those voices sound like people from your own life, which, they say write what you know, and some people are more comfortable with that than others. Sometimes it may seem easier just to immerse yourself in a completely made up world that's far removed from where you are. And some writers have the ability to do that. But from my experience, even if it is a made up world and it's a story that takes place on another planet, I'm still bringing some of myself to whatever it is. So I encourage you, as you think through your next steps on what to write, what are the stories that you feel super passionate about and that you could devote that block of time. Let's say it's going to take a couple of months to finish a script. Then you need to have an idea that's going to continue to push you forward day in, day out. There are going to be times that you're going to, be in the middle of this script and wonder, like, am I crazy? What am I doing right now? That's all a part of the process, too. Will anybody like this or not? Because a lot of us as creatives, we're consistently seeking validation from others. We're looking for that response from someone to say, this is great. Even when I was a little girl, I used to draw pictures and I would show, like, for example, it's Saturday morning and I'm with the markers and I'm drawing a picture and I run up to my mom and I'm like, Mom, what do you think? And she would say, because probably maybe after the fourth or fifth picture, this was getting a little redundant. She would say, if you like it, I love it. Now, this was probably her way of, getting me out the room and getting back to her busy day, right? But also encouraging me to not be obsessed with thinking about if somebody else likes it or not, or likes me or not. And once again, art is very subjective. So whatever you're passionate about writing, whatever that story is that you want to tell, there's an audience for it. But it starts with you actually finishing the script. And in order to find that motivation to keep going, it may, there may be some routine that you set up that helps you. For example, some people may pour a cup of tea and start out early in the morning at 5:30 and have that little block of time from 5:30 to 6 because that's before the rest of the family wakes up and this is their own personal time and they're honed in on accomplishing whatever they can in those precious minutes. So that's one strategy. And another strategy is to just, be willing to sacrifice a little bit of free time here and there. I can't tell you how many Saturdays and Sundays I'm in front of a screen. Like, this is almost a 7-day a week commitment for me on some level. I'm always doing something creative. And even if I'm not in front of a screen, like actually actively working on a script or a film project, I'm usually doing something to, get the ball rolling on the next thing. So it literally never stops. And some people are like, that's no kind of quote unquote work-life balance. But I do have such a sincere passion for this that oftentimes it doesn't feel like work. And as I mentioned before, there is something therapeutic about the process. And when you actually do finish that script, I want you to take a moment and celebrate, even if it's with something small like your favorite dessert or a trip to the beach, whatever it is to celebrate that moment, then you have definitely earned it because you have joined a class of writers with a complete script. You've broken away from everybody who just has a dream or an idea and actually accomplished that. So it's something worth celebrating. And what happens next to that script, we'll see, right? A lot of things can unfold that you won't know what the future holds. But that's why it's essential to enjoy the process and also celebrate the milestones as you go. And remember, everything that you do is going to help you improve and build upon your craft. So even if you like those scripts that I wrote, they didn't actually go anywhere, but they actually helped me to continue to learn and grow and get better as a writer. So it turned out to not be a waste of time. And each script that I actually completed did give me a boost of confidence that's hard to quantify. And when you finish that script and you feel that, moment, it is like crossing the finish line in a marathon. And you have earned, like I said, you earned that right to celebrate. So choose your topic with heart and passion and get started today, not tomorrow. Thank you for watching.